YouTube, true. So we are on twitter.com today because we want to discuss something big that happened in the Yu-Gi-Oh community. The new ban list, and we've been waiting 5 months for this new ban list to come out. And personally, I like Duel Daddy's ban list picture a lot better. It's a little bit easier. You can read through the cards a lot better. And we're going to go through these real quick. Wall of Revealing Light in the Unlimited section. Trickstar Light Stage, Nadir Servant. Fusion Destiny feels good. Shooting Riser Dragon. Cyber Angel Ben 10 feels really bad. A Point of the Red Lotus in the Limited. Spellbook of Judgment in the Limited. I know our boomers are happy. Substitute, also boomers are happy. Mecha Phantom Beast Lion. Rest in peace, Crystron Halqifibrax. Cyber Jar, which is funny. And Blackwing Steam the Cloak. I think this one's going to be the most used and most abused, but I guess they banned Fairy Tale Snow. Ronin Totem, rest in peace my boys, and also Paleozoic Frogs. Crystron Halqifibrax was banned. Rest in peace Bozo, that one needed to go. And Chaos Ruler, the Magic Dragon, and Red Reboot, finally, for our bans. Here is kind of funny about this one, and we mentioned this earlier on the stream, that this ban list feels like it was the perfect ban list 3 months ago. The current meta has moved on so far past whatever they're looking at here that the community is angry about so many different things. So even though there are a lot of cards on this list either taken off or banned, and some really big hitters like Crystron Halqifibrax and Red Reboot, Fairy Tale Snow, it still feels out of date. It's really strange. A lot of people really like this meta, and a lot of people really like what's going on here. But there is a sizable audience that think this list is not fine. Particularly, we have banger tweets from Luke Von Karma, aka Danny Jumpscare. Konami taking 138 days to cook up the worst list ever made. True. We have Zara, 5th Rate Duelist, a banger Uno meme about Konami. Ban Mystic Miner, draw 25. House of Chance hitting us with the Lamaus, translated from Hawaiian into Lamau, because Mystic Mine is $20 across the board. Absolutely outstanding. And of course, King Scarlet, the man, the myth, the legend, hitting us with just all the bangers. True. Well, you might look at this list and say, man, these are really powerful cards, but we're missing one thing in particular, and it seems the community is all up in arms about Mystic Mine. Internet funny man, Farfa, one of the most influential, if not the most influential streamers for Yu-Gi-Oh content, tweeted out this. Now, Farfa has been known for copy pastas in the past, and so it's kind of a little bit hard to tell if this is real, but it feels very real. Let me go ahead and read it. Dear Yu-Gi-Oh TCG, the community has collectively and unanimously called for the ban of Mystic Mine for months, even years now. That's parts true. Please listen to your players and accept our feedback. We do not like this card. It is not fun and is a stain on the competitive game. I think that Farfa is not wrong, particularly for wanting this card banned and for outcrying that other players as well, most notably, are calling for this. Every deck profile, every event that comes out, the main takeaway is, man, Mystic Mine is a really powerful card. If you don't know what Mystic Mine does, which if you're watching this, you know. But if you don't know, now you will know. Mystic Mine is a spell card, a really powerful spell card that reads, if your opponent controls more monsters than you do, your opponent cannot activate monsters' effects or declare an attack. If you control more monsters than your opponent, then you cannot activate monsters' effects or declare an attack. As you can imagine, this card is really bad. Mystic Mine as a card promotes unhealthy gameplay, low interactivity, and we can clearly see that based off of this right here. This screenshot from House of Champs was a feature blog post, 2006, called They Want Their Technology Back, from a recent, like this year, like a month ago or so, Yu-Gi-Oh! National Championship tournament, a national championship, a YCS, a championship series tournament. And you can clearly see based off this that the players for so many rounds just drew and passed turn, drew and passed turn, drew and passed turn, drew and passed turn. Set a card in the back row, drew and passed turn. But Mystic Mine is not just a stall card. That's kind of the thing that people think of when they initially read this card, like, oh, okay, it just stalls for game. That's not really true. And to further explain, we have to look at two currently banned cards of Imperial Order and Vanity's Emptiness. Both of these two cards are banned currently, but they were legal in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Playing card game for so long. Now, the unfortunate part about these two and Mystic Mine is that they all have some things in common. And it's not that they're unfun, it's not that they take no skill to play, and it's not that they provide unhealthy interactions between players, well, that is true. It's the fact that they cut off core mechanics of gameplay of Yu-Gi-Oh! And that's, I think, particularly why it's most egregious that Mystic Mine is still currently legal. Imperial Order shuts off spell cards, which is an integral part to Yu-Gi-Oh! Vanity's Emptiness cuts off special summoning, which again is an integral part of Yu-Gi-Oh! And Mystic Mine does a lot. On the surface, it gets rid of activating monster effects, which is a part of Yu-Gi-Oh! And declaring an attack, which is part of Yu-Gi-Oh! But it also kind of promotes not summoning, not playing cards face up, at least. I mean, this card shuts off so much and deters so much from players that it is really a shame that it's still around, at least in my opinion. But if you ask Konami, I don't think Konami thinks so. Like, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what we think, it's how Konami wants to balance their game. And so follow me on this one. I'm gonna go through a theory on why I think Konami has kept Mystic Mine similar to how they kept Imperial Order and how they kept Vanity's Emptiness in the game legal for so long. Now, most of you are ahead of me and might already know where I'm going with this, but I'm gonna walk you through it real quick. So there's a few different ways that Konami specifically can influence player deck building, player choices, how they buff and nerf cards. Effectively, deck strategies can either get strengthened by new card releases or nerfed with either bans or also with new cards in general. The Forbidden and Limited List, which is the main culprit and the primary way Konami balances their game, takes away cards from their players. It can forbid play almost entirely. They can limit the amount of copies that a player can play in their deck, and this is the most straightforward way for them to balance. Alternatively, there's product releases. Yay! Everyone's favorite new thing. This can nerf a lot of decks and can balance a lot of things, whether it be strengthening older archetypes, or it can release new cards that power creep the old archetypes. More stronger and just frankly more consistent or better decks become available. But the Forbidden and Limited List is the thing that we keep on coming back to as like the most important thing over new products and over existing deck strategies. So typically on the ban list, you start to see cards that are either too consistent or too strong. Maybe they don't have a lot of counterplay, so they become really unfair, etc. But if we think that, and we can take what we know about the ban list and how Konami likes to balance their game, either in the Forbidden and Limited List or by releasing new products, then why is Mystic Mine still in? Well, that leads me to Jesse Cotton, a top Yu-Gi-Oh! Player and a Worlds competitor, probably one of the best in the game, if not of all time. And he has probably, and unfortunately, what Konami actually feels about Mystic Mine, Imperial Order, and Vanity's Emptiness. All these three things have in common with Jesse Cotton is that Konami, I think, agrees with his statement. Most of y'all have already seen this. This is the big copy pasta. And whether this is a joke or not, there is some truth to this joke. So we'll go ahead and go by it. Okay, guys, but with all due respect, how are you not prepared for mine at this point? It's a little ridiculous to not have a well thought out plan when entering a tournament. August 28th. Almost one whole month before Konami's ban list. I think that Konami ultimately, and this is again going back to my theory, is thinking this same thing. I think Konami agrees with Jesse Cotton here. Now, I think that, again, the card design of Mystic Mine is poor, like incredibly poor, and it does not promote anything healthy within the game, but Konami is okay with that, right? And we can clearly tell because they use the ban list to influence deck building and card play. So typically when a card is not placed on the Forbidden and Limited List, a list that says what we can and cannot play, that usually means that Konami is comfortable with the current card pool, the future card pool, and its player base to play with the given tools available to it. So in that same sentiment, the reason why Mystic Mine, Imperial Order, and Vanity's Emptiness were not all banned immediately on release is because Konami feels comfortable that we as players have the tools to out and beat those cards, but we are kind of just refusing to play them. This more goes into what I think that Konami has done kind of rough a little bit with their card design. They keep on releasing these uber consistent, hyper powerful combo strategies that are monster heavy and focused. However, in order to play those decks to the most optimal of ways, you have to forego things like destruction spells, things like Harpy Feather Duster, things like MST, things like Cosmic Cyclone, things like Twin Twisters. In the past, when Mystic Mine was still legal / early released, we had things like Salamangreat Roar, Salamangreat Rage, which are searchable inside of the Salamangreat strategy. And also, we had cards like MST, Cosmic Cyclone, and Twin Twisters, and Sky Striker Afterburner, which all 4 of those cards were played pretty much main deck inside of every single Sky Striker strategy. And sometimes Mystic Mine was played inside of Sky Strikers as well. Fun fact. Unironically, I do think that Konami holds this same sentiment with Jesse, that they want us to stop playing these uber consistent, hyper powerful combo strategies that are focused around monsters and play things that well round the deck. Now, what does it do whenever you're forcing your players to play for an out for Mystic Mine, either be spell and trap removal or some type of thing that's not monster related? Well, of course you decrease consistency. And it does influence your players to build their deck in a way that's not necessarily super great to play. And what I mean by this is, like, we can take a lesson from Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel. When you queue up in Master Duel on ladder, you are pretty much at the mercy of the die roll, whoever you pair up with that time. You are supposed to build your deck for going first and for going second. Duel Links is somewhat similar, where if you lose the die roll and you're forced to go second, you want enough board breakers, spell and trap removal, maybe monster negations to help win the game. But if you're queued up with something that's particularly powerful against combo strategies and you end up getting paired up with, let's say, Eldlick, which is set 5 pass, that feels really bad. It feels like it's just random and like you have no control over it. Like the better player didn't necessarily win, you just got a bad matchup. Skill issue, right? And that's what this feels like playing with Mystic Mine now, is that if you're playing these hyper consistent, uber powerful combo decks and you're forced to create your deck in such a way that accounts for, frankly, unhealthy cards like Mystic Mine, Imperial Order, and Vanity's Emptiness, then what you promote in your game is the 50-50. When you sit across the table from someone, you're saying to yourself, okay, I'm gonna forego what I think is strong against all cards in the meta and what is most optimal for my strategy to play for these cards. And that's a big issue. That's not super healthy to do to your players, frankly. But like I said, I legitimately think that Jesse Cotton does have a point. That regardless if it is legal or isn't legal, it is legal. And so Konami clearly thinks that this is a valid point, that we should be building our decks around Mystic Mine and similar Floodgates. Because if it's not, that's our fault, right? It's not the fact that these are poorly designed cards, that they promote low interaction points between players. It's not the fact that they make the game unenjoyable. It's just the fact that we didn't deck build correctly. It's truly a skill issue. Truly a skill issue.